The story of fighter aircraft is a relentless march of innovation, a tale of engineers and pilots pushing the very limits of what's possible in the sky. It all began just over a century ago with wood and fabric biplanes dogfighting over the trenches of World War I. These early machines were simple, armed with machine guns that were barely synchronized with their propellers. The best pilot, with the most nerve and the tightest turn, usually won the day. This era established the fundamental purpose of a fighter: to control the air, to deny it to the enemy, and to protect the forces on the ground below. It was a raw, visceral form of combat that laid the groundwork for everything that would follow. Then came the jet age, a seismic shift that happened in the final moments of World War II. Propellers were replaced by the raw thrust of jet engines, and suddenly, speed became the defining metric of air superiority. The skies over Korea saw the first major jet-versus-jet combat, with aircraft like the F-86 Sabre and the MiG-15 dueling at speeds unimaginable just a decade prior. This second generation of fighters brought swept wings and the first guided missiles into play. The game was changing from close-range gunfights to engagements from beyond visual range. Speed was king, and getting higher and faster than your opponent was the key to survival and victory. The third and fourth generations were defined by electronics and versatility. To understand where we are going, we must first understand where we are. The current pinnacle of fighter technology is the fifth generation. These aren't just faster or more agile versions, they represent a fundamental rethinking of what a fighter jet is. The defining characteristic is all-aspect, very low observability, more commonly known as stealth. This isn't just a special coating of paint, it's a design philosophy in the aircraft's shape. Angled panels, sawtooth edges, internal weapons bays, all meticulously engineered to scatter and absorb radar waves, making them incredibly difficult to detect and track. But stealth is only one part of the equation. The other critical component is sensor fusion. A fifth-generation fighter is a flying supercomputer with wings. The onboard processors take data from all these sensors along with information streamed from friendly forces, and fuse it into a single, easy-to-understand picture for the pilot. This gives the pilot unprecedented situational awareness, allowing them to see everything around them without being overwhelmed. The F-22 Raptor was designed purely for air dominance. The F-35 Lightning II, a versatile multi-role platform. Just as the fifth generation seemed to perfect the art of modern air combat, the architects of air power are already hard at work on what comes next. The sixth generation is not an incremental upgrade, it is a conceptual leap into a new reality of warfare. If fifth-generation fighters are the ultimate solo predators, sixth-generation systems are envisioned as the quarterbacks of a networked, semi-autonomous team. They will be the central command and control hubs in a system of systems, a family of interconnected air assets that work together to dominate a battle space. At its core, a sixth-generation fighter program is less about a single airframe and more about an entire ecosystem. This ecosystem will likely include a highly advanced crewed fighter at its center, but it will be surrounded and supported by a variety of uncrewed aircraft, often called collaborative combat aircraft, or loyal wingmen. These drones will not be simple, remotely piloted vehicles, scouting, electronic warfare, carrying extra weapons and even engaging targets themselves, all under the direction of the pilot in the central fighter. The design philosophy is also evolving. While speed and agility will always be important, the emphasis for sixth-generation platforms is shifting toward greater range, payload, and adaptability. Future conflicts will require aircraft that can fly farther and stay on station longer without relying on vulnerable tanker aircraft. Furthermore, these aircraft are being designed with an open architecture approach, meaning their software and hardware can be rapidly upgraded. Stealth, the cornerstone of fifth-generation design, will be pushed to even greater extremes in the sixth generation. The challenge is that as stealth technology has become more common, so too has the technology designed to defeat it. Adversaries are developing more powerful and sophisticated radar systems, including low-frequency radars that are better at detecting the stealth aircraft of today. To maintain an edge, sixth-generation fighters will need to be even less detectable, across a much wider spectrum of sensors, not just radar. This means achieving a new level of broadband or all-aspect stealth. The real innovation may lie in active stealth systems and advanced electronic warfare capabilities. A sixth-generation fighter might be able to actively broadcast signals that confuse or deceive enemy sensors, making them see false targets or nothing at all. The line between stealth and electronic attack will blur, with the aircraft's skin itself potentially becoming a smart, reconfigurable sensor and electronic warfare aperture. Survival in the future battle space also requires a new approach to engine technology. Sixth-generation fighters will feature advanced power plants known as adaptive cycle or variable cycle engines. These new engines can physically change their configuration in mid-flight. They can operate like a high-bypass turbofan for efficiency, and then transform into a low-bypass turbojet for a massive burst of thrust in combat, while reducing heat signatures via novel cooling and masking techniques. Perhaps the most profound change coming with the sixth generation is the deep integration of artificial intelligence, or AI. This isn't just an autopilot on steroids, it's a true digital co-pilot, a cognitive partner designed to reduce the pilot's workload and really speed up the decision-making process in the heat of battle. The amount of information flowing into the cockpit of a modern fighter is already immense. And in a sixth-generation system with its network of sensors and drones, it would be completely overwhelming for an unassisted human. AI is really the key to managing this fire hose of data and turning it into actionable intelligence. It will identify and prioritize threats, suggest optimal flight paths, manage electronic warfare systems, and even recommend the best weapon to use against a specific target. The goal here is to free up the pilot's mental capacity so they can focus on the big picture. This human-AI teaming even extends to controlling the aircraft itself. While the pilot will always have ultimate authority, the AI will be capable of taking on complex tasks autonomously. For instance, if the pilot is engaged in a tense dogfight, the AI could simultaneously manage the aircraft's defensive systems, communicate with other friendly forces, and even direct a Wingman drone to engage a secondary threat. Every sortie, every training exercise, every engagement will provide data that the AI can use to refine its algorithms and improve its performance. The concept of flying with a wingman is as old as air combat itself, but the sixth generation will really redefine what a wingman can be. Instead of another human pilot in an identical aircraft, the core sixth-generation fighter will lead a pack of semi-autonomous drones, collaborative combat aircraft, CCAs, loyal wingmen, one of the most transformative aspects of this new era, designed to be force multipliers, extending the reach, extending the sensing, extending the lethality. Not your typical reconnaissance drones, high performance, stealthy, able to keep pace with the lead fighter. They augment the crewed platform and take on the dull, dirty, dangerous jobs, sent ahead to scout for threats, forcing the enemy to reveal positions without risking the crewed asset, letting the human-piloted fighter stay electronically silent and hidden, flying magazines. Stealth fighters are limited by internal weapon bays. Once those missiles are fired, the aircraft must return to base. CCAs act as external weapon pods alongside the main fighter. Comparing 5th and 6th generation fighters is kind of like comparing a high-end smartphone to the supercomputer that powers a global data center. While they share some underlying technologies, their scale, purpose, and capabilities are worlds apart. The most fundamental difference lies in their core concept. A 5th generation fighter like the F-35 is a highly capable individual platform that networks with other assets. A 6th generation system is conceived as a distributed, integrated system of systems. Crewed aircraft are just one node, the most important one, in a larger collaborative network. In terms of stealth, the 5th generation mastered low observability primarily against high-frequency fire control radars. The 6th generation aims for much broader stealth to counter a wider array of sensors, including low-frequency radars and active electronic warfare. 6th generation designs emphasize range and payload, critical for theaters like the Indo-Pacific, trading some extreme close-in maneuverability for long-range power projection and persistence. Result: larger, longer-ranged aircraft that can carry a heavier weapons load and more advanced sensors. The human becomes a mission commander, orchestrating an aerial ballet of autonomous platforms rather than just flying one jet. The race to develop and field the first 6th generation fighter is well underway, representing a new chapter in the great power competition for technological and military supremacy. The United States is pursuing its next-generation air dominance, or NGAD, program for the Air Force, and a parallel effort called F/AXX for the Navy. These efforts encompass not just the crewed fighter, but also CCAs, advanced engines, and next-generation weapons. Details are highly classified, but the Air Force has confirmed that a full-scale demonstrator has already flown, breaking records and validating key technologies. The program is moving at a rapid pace with the goal of fielding capability by the end of this decade or early 2030s. Across the Atlantic, Europe is also heavily invested with multinational programs like FCAS and the Global Combat Air Program, GCAP, merging Tempest and FX ideas. Demonstrator aircraft are expected to fly within the next few years. China, having developed its fifth-generation J-20, is researching sixth-generation capabilities including AI, advanced stealth, and manned-unmanned teaming. Russia has discussed successors to the Su-57, mentioning directed energy and hypersonics, though funding and production capacity are questions. This global competition is driving innovation at an unprecedented rate, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The arrival of sixth-generation fighter systems on the world stage will not just be another step in the evolution of air power, it will be a paradigm shift that fundamentally redefines the nature of aerial warfare. The very concept of a dogfight, the classic one-on-one duel between pilots, may become a relic of a bygone era. Future air combat will likely be a team sport. A distributed and disaggregated affair fought across vast distances, often by platforms not even in the same piece of sky. The winner will not necessarily be the pilot with the fastest jet, but the commander who can best orchestrate their network of crewed and uncrewed assets. To overwhelm the enemy's decision-making cycle is the aim. Information dominance first, kinetic effects second. It also raises complex ethical questions about autonomous systems in lethal decision-making, a debate that will only intensify. Ultimately, the sixth generation represents the full maturation of the information age of warfare, a move beyond platform-centric models to network-centric thinking fighting systems. These systems are not just jets, they are flying networks, thinking networks, fighting networks. The countries that master this ecosystem will shape the geopolitical landscape for decades to come. From wooden fabric to smart networked systems, the fighter has evolved into an information weapon of unparalleled complexity. Human intuition, advanced AI, and distributed systems, together they will define air combat in the 21st century. If you enjoyed this overview, subscribe for deep dives on the technologies shaping tomorrow's battlefield.